look inside. It sure seems like we have ultimate possibility. It sure seems like we do. And then his second one, whether or not we accept it, is different. But his second one is the self-defeat part, right? Where he says, belief in determinism, or hard determinism, he thinks would solve it well. But he says, basically, belief in determinism is self-defeating. This means it's rationally self-defeating. So the thought is, if determinism is true, you only believe it because of the initial conditions of the universe and the laws of nature, right? Doesn't matter whether or not your belief is not connected in any way to the truth, right? Your belief is just a result of how the universe began and the laws of nature. It has nothing to do with whether it strikes you as true or anything else. You cause to believe it. And his thought is, that means if determinism is true, you're committed to thinking that if it is true, anything you believe is just the result of the laws of nature and the universe. So that would mean all of your beliefs, whether you believe them or not, has nothing to do with whether they're likely to be true. In which case, your belief in determinism has nothing to do with whether determinism is likely to be true. The upshot of that is he claims that believing determinism is rationally self-defeating. Because the thought is, if you think determinism is true, you can't at the same time think you're rational in believing that. Because if it is in fact true, all of your beliefs are irrational. That's the main thing to know is just that it's self-defeating. Now you might worry, why can't you be rational in it? He says, well, you can't be because if determinism is true, it makes it so that your beliefs aren't dependent upon the evidence or dependent on what's likely to be true, just based on how things work. Now, we mentioned too, along with this, the worry for a human worry. Whether or not it's rationally self-defeating doesn't tell you whether it's true or false. If it's true, it's rational.
For 7.1, how does Lewis explain to solve the grandfather paradox? I have that you can simultaneously have abilities and desires that theoretically would cause a given result, and that result is logically impossible, and those two things can exist simultaneously without conflict.
Right, that's the right idea. Because basically, remember, just to track back, the grandfather paradox, what's paradoxical about it is that it seems true on the one hand that Tim can kill his grandfather, but it also seems true on the other hand that he can't. So you got a paradox. Tim can kill his grandfather, Tim can't kill his grandfather. They both seem true. Well, Lewis's response, as Will mentioned, is to say, what's going on here is we need two different things by can. Right? When we say Tim can kill his grandfather, we just mean he has the abilities, he has the desires, and so on, that would normally lead to someone being able to kill someone. He says when we say we can't, as Will mentioned, it's because it's logically impossible for him to do. And so Lewis says there's no conflict because it can be true that he can kill his grandfather in the sense of having the right abilities, and also at the same time true that he can't in the sense of logical impossibility. So I think we're using the word can in two different ways.
Well, I would say that if it's logically impossible for him to do it, then it's also impossible for him to have an ability. How can you have an ability?
Yeah, you might worry about it. Yeah, so Lewis has to say something like, well, he's got the sort of ability that would normally allow you to do that. But yeah, that's a good worry to have because you might say, wait a minute, this is actually logically impossible for him to do. Does he really have the ability? You might worry, can you have an ability to do something if it's impossible for you to do that thing? I think, kind of by definition, that means you lack the ability. So he's got to try to do something. Yeah, you couldn't know what the difference is. So qualitative identity and numerical identity. What are they? What's the difference?
Qualitative, like the regular numerical. Kind of is one thing, like the same thing.
Just one thing. Yeah. Exactly.
Okay.
Exactly. Because anytime two things are identical in the numerical sense, you're not really talking about two things. Right? So if you were to say, hey, Clark Kent and Superman are identical, you're not talking about two things. It's the same person. So qualitative identity is You have the same qualities, all the same features. Numerical identity is just the same thing. Presumably, or at least there's at least a chance that two things could be actually qualitatively, close to qualitatively identical. We got Mia first.
What are the interchangeable roles that not playing
Yeah, what are these? What are the things that he said?
So you list 5 of them.
List 5.
And
Right.
the first one, resource acquisition, and then technological perfection,
Right.
and then cognitive ability, and then self-preservation, and also control, content integrity.
That's right. Those are the 5. It says pretty much every intelligent being will have these same instrumental.
The thing where the various views of personality outside perspective, we talked about the spatio-temporal continuity, and then he went back and said it needs to be psychological continuity. So is psychological continuity be one of those, or would it be like in his response?
These are all, yeah, so those are all different views. So we talked about, what, 1, 2,
Sameness of matter,
yeah.
sameness of matter, soul, spatio-temporal continuity, and psychological continuity.
Yeah.
So it's all 4 additive views.
Right, so if there's 4 views of personal identity that are having the same matter. The second one was soul view, then spatio-temporal continuity view, and then psychological continuity. And you raise problems for all of them. What happens to what? Yeah, what happens to LVEX? But yeah, what is that? What happens to LVEX before? Right. So it's a robot, right? Has this dream, sees himself, dreams of himself as a human, and thinks in the dream, he seems to think to himself of the third law of robotics, but only part of the third law. Right? Thinks of just the part of the third law that says the robot must protect its own existence. Period. So he has this dream of himself as an individual thing, right? He's conscious of himself, and that robots should protect their own existence. And then they shoot. Other. Yeah, great. Just one can. The easy problems of consciousness are the ones that we think that at least sometime in the future science will be able to answer, whether they can or not now. But we'll be able to. And the hard problems are thought to be ones that won't matter. Science is not matter. Should we see a first in the case?
What is the Chinese room argument, and what is it supposed to show?
Good. Yeah. What's the Chinese room?
You've got one man outside the room and one man in the room. They speak different languages, and one has basically, I guess, a dictionary or a manual of the other man's language and files that they have back and forth. Man outside thinks the person does speak the language, but he can't learn it.
Right. Exactly. So you've got somebody, as Avnat mentioned, you've got someone in a room. They don't speak Chinese, but they have a book that says, in their language, say English, that says, when these symbols come in, these symbols go out. Right? So they don't tell them what the symbols mean, they just say, Chinese characters come in, Chinese characters send these out. They're really good at it, so they get fast, they can do it. And so someone who speaks Chinese from the outside is allowed to slide them tiles that have Chinese characters on it. They send it to them, and the person inside sends it back. It'll seem to the person outside that the person in the room speaks Chinese. But Searle argues that person doesn't know Chinese. They don't understand Chinese. That's the Chinese room example. And then what it's supposed to show is that a machine